Hi everyone. So this video is kind of a special one because if you're one of my usual subscribers, you won't know what I'm talking about. If you are watching this from America, you definitely won't know what I'm talking about. But if you're watching this from the UK and you're trying to get into university or you're doing your A-levels or you're doing access, then you will know what I'm talking about, and this one's for you. I'll explain more about what that means in a minute, but basically it's like a replacement for your A-levels. You need A-levels to get into many university courses. And if you don't have A-levels, then Access kind of replaces that and lets you get into university anyway. The thing is that a lot of people missed out on their A-levels for various reasons. For me, I didn't get to do them when I was supposed to do them. Most people do them when they leave school at the age of 16 and they finish them by the time they're 18 and then they get into university at the age of 18. That's not what happened for me. I'm 22, didn't have A-levels. So in 2017, around November, December time, I enrolled on this course, online course. They're called Stonebridge Associated Colleges. And they offer lots of different courses. The one I did was an Access to HE Diploma. I'm really late in starting university because I'm 22 and I still haven't started yet, whereas most people will have started when they're like 18 years old. That really sucks. So, but I still didn't want to let it hold me back from my dreams because there's so much ageism in society and I wanted to go for my dreams anyway. So, yeah, I went for Access and tried to get into university. So I chose to do Access to HE Diploma in Science because I chose a science-based subject at university that I want to pursue. And so that's the one. There's like, you can see there's 3 different pathways they've got: biochemical, biophysical, and natural sciences. But when I started last year, it was called biological sciences, it was called. So they kind of changed it now. Like I already said, this course is an online distant learning course, meaning that you just need a computer and an internet connection. That's basically all you need to do it. And it's like, there's no exams. They give you assessments. You basically have to write essays, produce presentations, and do that sort of thing. And basically, my course had about 21 modules in it, which are worth a certain number of credits. And when you submit an assignment, their guidelines say that they mark it within 3 to 5 days and then give you either a grade, or if you didn't quite make the grade, they'll give you feedback so that you can resubmit. And you're only allowed a certain number of resubmissions, like 2 resubmissions. And the maximum amount of time that you're allowed to complete the entire course is 18 months. Or at least that's what I think. Yeah, I think it's 18 months that you're allowed. So I started this in November 2017. And I was hoping to finish it by August 2018 so that I can get into university this year. But that is not what happened at all, you guys, unfortunately, with Stonebridge. And that's what I want to talk about in this video. But before I talk about that, I just want to explain how the UCAS thing works with Access, because Access is equivalent to A-levels, but it is not A-levels. And therefore, we have to look at how many points you need in Access. I mean, how many credits you need in Access to get a certain number of UCAS points and how that will equate to A-levels. I hope you get what I'm trying to say. That's what I want to explain next. So, how many UCAS tariff points is this course that I did worth? That's what I want to have a look at now. So I finally managed to complete my course in September last month. And I ended up getting 36 distinctions, 3 merits, and 6 passes. That's actually a brilliant score, you guys. And it's worth 128 UCAS points, as you can see at the bottom here. Now, bearing in mind, I didn't get that immediately. They actually gave me a lower mark than that, my assessors. Then I appealed against it and sent it off for appeals because I felt that my grades were worth a lot more than what they gave me. And I ended up winning the appeals, and I was given a higher grade. So I used this other calculator and I found out that my Access Diploma is worth either 2 A-star A-levels or 3 B-grade A-levels. So that's 2 A-levels worth an A-star each, or 3 A-levels worth a B-grade each. That's pretty much what my thing here is the equivalent of, apparently. Obviously, it depends on how well you do. How much your Access is worth really depends on how well you do in the Access course. So now I'm going to be talking about my experience with Stonebridge, you guys, in as much detail as I can manage, and go through what my personal experience was like with them. Now, it was overall, I have to say, extremely difficult. I found it very, very difficult to work with the staff running this course at Stonebridge. And it was an absolute uphill battle for me to even get the course complete. Even getting the course complete and getting a decent grade was a huge battle. And I don't mean in terms of like the difficulty or the academic difficulty. I mean just in terms of their professionalism and the kind of service that I received from them, if you see what I'm, So yeah, so you can see that the date that I started the course on was on the 30th of November 2017. And on the right side, you can see the length, the number of days it took me to complete the course. And one of the main problems that I had from the first day was the amount of time they took to mark my work. And you can just see that on the side with the length of the thing that I just pointed out to you. They just took a huge amount of time to even mark one module, you guys. It was ridiculous. So you can see that it took them 16 days to mark my first module. It took them a whopping 39 days to mark my second module or unit. And it took them a ginormous 64 days to mark my third unit. That's just absurd that it took that long to do the first 3 units. Another thing is that the first 5 units are ungraded units, meaning they're not academic units. They're just questions about your studying technique, your revision technique, things like that, as you can see from the title on the left-hand side. And you can just tell that they took an absurd amount of time to mark my work. And even after the first 5 units, you can see that they took quite a lot of time to mark each module. And here, there's a slight improvement, as you can see, but you can also see that the date is already like August 2018, when I was meant to finish the course. And by this time, I'd actually complained to them, like formally complained to them loads of times. And that's why they kind of stepped it up a tiny, tiny bit. Basically, it should not have taken that amount of time to mark each of those modules. At the very most, it should have taken only about a week to mark each one. And that's not what happened, as you can see. And the course just really dragged out for a lot longer than it should have. And I was constantly begging them and begging them and begging them to get a grip and start marking my work. And they would just patronize me and just give me the same responses. And I'll get into more of that next, and I'll show you in the next set of slides. I want to show you some of my communications with them. So this message is dated the 19th of December 2017. So that's about a month after I started the course. And I was just starting to get worried because I noticed that they weren't marking my work. And there was just like a complete silence. I just submitted the first module and they hadn't marked my work. So I just sent them a message kind of asking them to please mark my work. That was... So even back then, it started out kind of shaky like this. So then they kind of just shut me down by saying, oh, it takes 3 to 5 days. But the thing is, it already took a lot longer than that. So it was kind of worrying. And also it was Christmas time, so I cut them some slack. But they were still taking way too long. And I was just getting worried because I was thinking to myself, right, so if this goes on, if we carry on at this pace for the rest of the course, it's not going to work out. I just knew that even back then. Shortly after that, I put in my first complaint, I guess, to the manager of the course. And I just basically kind of wanted to address my alarm at the rate that the course was going. And I just kind of outlined the dates and how long they were taking, things like that, try and bring it to their attention. So then again, they just kind of shut me down, telling me 3 to 5 days, 3 to 5 days, even though it was clearly taking a lot longer than 3 to 5 days. But they didn't seem to care about that. So the next point is this, you guys. I was working on one of the first 5 ungraded units. So we were still on the ungraded units, the first 5 of them. And the task was something quite simple. It was like we had to write about how we revise or how we plan our studies or something like that. So it's nothing complicated or scientific. We're not even at that stage yet. And I wrote an answer which I thought was perfectly acceptable, but the assessor kept failing it. And she wouldn't even like tell me the reasons why I was failing it. Her advice was very, very vague. Like, I don't think you understand what this question wants you to do. I think you are misunderstanding what the question is asking you to do. That was the kind of advice that she gave me, which was very vague, very unhelpful. So I kind of appealed to her. Here you can see, asking her to explain herself a bit more. And then things took a turn for the weird. Things got even weirder, you guys. So basically, she told me to apply some improvements. I only applied very minor improvements, if anything at all, because I just didn't get what she was saying. So I just kind of just made some minor tweaks and sent it, resubmitted it. And this time round, she accepted it. And that was really weird because I hardly changed anything about it. And apparently that made a huge difference and she just accepted it. So it was like, why don't you just accept that the first time round then? So then I asked her why. And her answer was just like, oh, I asked the moderators and they said it was fine. Again, that doesn't explain anything. See, they don't even bother explaining anything to you. They seem to think that they're kind of superior. They don't even need to explain anything to you. She said it wasn't fine a minute ago when I submitted it and then I resubmitted it with hardly any change and apparently it was fine. So that was weird. So again, this is just me pleading with her to mark my work because I'd submitted another assignment and it hadn't been marked in ages. And I was just constantly pleading with them to mark my work. And they just constantly kept shutting me down, saying that the assessors were doing their best. Just look at this. Please be assured that all the assessors are working as hard as they can. Other students are working to meet the same deadline. So that's just a patronizing response there. They're kind of trying to make me feel stupid for asking them. You can tell the date as well. It's May already. And this is the thing I don't understand. Please be assured that the assessors are working as hard as they can. She's talking as though they're being asked to run a marathon, when literally all they have to do is something really simple. They just have to look at your essay, which is about 1,000 words, and they just have to give it a grade. That's something that shouldn't take very long, especially when you consider the fact that I managed to do it in like 24 hours. So if I can produce 1,000-word essay in 24 hours, then why can't the assessors mark it and give it a grade in 24 hours? It's like, oh, we're working as hard as we can. They just have to sit on their backsides and give it a grade. They're acting as if I'm asking them to climb Mount Everest. This is another one of my assessors. You get different assessors for like each of the modules. Not every module, but like basically they just give you different assessors when they feel like it. And James Oliver, this was one of my assessors. And he turned out to be a very troublesome fellow. You guys, he caused a lot of trouble, this guy, in a really unnecessary way. Quite a drama queen. And he has like a manner that is very intimidating and rude and aggressive. And if you stand up to him, he gets pissed off. It's really sad. Okay, now it's bitch mode time. He tells me, please refrain from being aggressive in the tone of your emails. This will get you nowhere. And that last sentence, this will get you nowhere, that's basically a threat. That's basically him telling me, I am not going to let you make any progress on this course. That's basically the translation there. And then the funny thing is, he tells me not to be aggressive, and then he goes on to write a whole paragraph which is patronizing and aggressive and rude and unprofessional. So yeah, this James Oliver, he was a drama queen from the start, from the very, very start. And it was really problematic for me. The really weird thing about him is that he would accuse me of being aggressive when I was being perfectly civil and polite with him. And then he would kind of patronize me and be rude and aggressive to me. And another thing I don't like is the way he's trying to tone police me. Right? Women are constantly tone policed anyway. It's like, don't tone police me. Oliver, don't tell me what tone to use. I can use whatever tone I want to. These are just people whose manners, you're just wasting manners on these types of people. So then, after Oliver sent me that message, I put in a complaint, another complaint to the manager of the course. And she arranged a phone conversation with me. Basically, there's no way of contacting any of these people except in the messaging portal that they give you, like within the portal. And she arranged a phone call with me and phoned me up. And we kind of came to a resolution in the phone call, even after all the disgusting, dramatic things that took place. And we kind of came to an agreement, and she kind of promised to make an improvement for me from now on. Another thing that was a constant problem throughout the course is the support they provide you with is really, really poor, you guys. Like, the feedback they give you is really, really unhelpful. It's too vague. And just, they always write sentences like, you have failed to grasp what this task is asking you to do. I think you've missed what this task is asking you to do. Or they keep on trying to say that you've misunderstood the task. When you haven't. And there's just no, you see, this is the thing. There's just no kind of guidance on what you're supposed to do. And if you have any kind of a doubt, they just don't answer it. They just patronize you. Another thing is that there's only a certain number of resubmissions that you're allowed. And after that, what happens is that they cap your grade at a pass, meaning you cannot get merit or distinction. The maximum you can get is a pass no matter how well you perform. And that's really awful because, first of all, the kind of grading tariff is pretty narrow in this course. You can only get either pass, merit, or distinction. And that puts a lot more pressure on the student because you know, a small mistake could be the difference between a merit and a distinction or a pass and a merit. So when you work really hard and then just get a pass for something that's a much higher quality, it kind of sucks. And that's why I had to fight really. I had to keep arguing with them over the grade because, like, it was just a huge difference between a pass and a merit. You see what I mean? The only thing I can do is change your tutor in the hope that a fresh pair of eyes will help, says she. Or you could just tell the present tutor, the current tutor, to get his act together. That would have been a better option as well. You don't need to change the tutor. Alright, so this one made me very, very angry, you guys. I can't even tell you how angry this made me. It made me so angry. She's like, just a reminder that we're running out of time to get your course complete. She's telling me that as if I'm stupid, as if I'm not aware of that, as if I haven't been aware of that since the first day that I started the course. Like, she is telling me that I am running out of time as if I can't see that for my damn self. That pissed me off very, very much. It really did. And she's reminding me that this is how long I've got left. And it's like, it's so patronizing. Like, I'm over here. I'll tell you something, you guys. During this time period that this happened in, you can see the date on this. It says 30th of, like, what's it called? July. And like I said, I'm supposed to finish it in August, meaning that I've got like 1 month to finish it. And at this stage, I still had like 12 assignments to complete in 1 month. That's 12,000 word essays and 3 presentations to complete in that time period. And I was working day and night to get it complete. I'm not even joking, you guys. I would stay up until about 2 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning, just to get this complete, just to get the assignments complete. That's how hard I had to work. And here is this woman just like reminding me that I'm running out of time. That is such an inhumane thing to say to me, when I had to just like go beyond what was humanly possible. And here she is, just cold-bloodedly commanding me to just finish everything by the 6th of August. She's just telling me, finish like 12 assignments by 6th of August, which is a month away. That is literally what she's telling me here. Right, now this guy, he's yet another assessor who was more or less as difficult to work with as James Oliver. And here he's saying to me, I can't help you anymore without giving the answers to you. And that's kind of weird because it's like, what answers? It's not an exam. It's like an assessment where you have to write an essay about something like cells, or I don't know what I was working on in this. And he failed my assignment without giving me hardly any feedback or any reason why I failed it. And I'm trying to ask him for an explanation, because if I resubmit and fail again, then my assignment will be capped at a pass. So here is me trying to get some sense out of him, and he's just telling me that I'm asking him for the answers, which is not true. Okay, so you can see the date on this message is the 13th of September 2018. So not August, it's now September. It's gone beyond the 31st of August. And the deadline, the UCAS deadline that my university gave to me to produce this was the 31st of August. And now it was the 13th of September. So what I did was I phoned them up and I basically pleaded with them to give me some more time to produce the results. And they extended the time for me. They gave me like another 2 weeks to produce my results. That's something that is a very rare thing, you guys. It's not something that they would usually do. And here is me again pleading with him to mark my work. And here comes his reply. Your Unit 19 was submitted yesterday and marked tonight. You have amendments to make. Do it as soon as possible. What he doesn't tell you is that there was actually like a 3-day gap in between me submitting it and him marking it. It wasn't just marked in 12 hours as he's trying to make out here. Another thing you need to know, you guys, is that by this point, I'd already had multiple phone conversations with the manager. And it was just like these really frantic conversations. And what happened was that they kind of put me on a special exception emergency case type of thing, where the manager made all the other assessors aware of my special situation. Okay, but the funny thing is, they still didn't take any accountability for it. And I'm going to talk about the accountability thing later on, but they just didn't take any accountability for it. They were totally gaslighting me. They were acting as if, like, it was my fault that everything became this delayed, when it was basically their fault from day one. So that was really, really, really hard. So just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, it became even more complicated, and Paul made things even more complicated. And that is, he accused me of plagiarism in my essay. He said that, like, my essay was plagiarized. And he provided this document showing me where it was plagiarized. And like almost half of the document was just highlighted in blue, meaning plagiarism. Now, I did not plagiarize the essay, and it's not even the type of thing that you can plagiarize. We had to talk about exothermic reactions and all of these other scientific concepts. We also had to do some calculations as well. It's kind of impossible to even plagiarize that. There was one part of the essay which was asking us to define enthalpy change and exothermic reactions. And I defined those things. So I defined exothermic reactions as reactions that give out energy to the surroundings. And endothermic reactions are reactions that take in energy from the surroundings. These are both very universal definitions. But he highlighted them in blue, saying that I plagiarized it, which is just absurd. It's like, here's the thing. When you're working on like an English course or English literature, then they'll ask you to write essays about Romeo and Juliet, Shakespeare, or this or that. And in that type of situation, plagiarism would be a major factor, because there's 1,000 ways that one person could write an essay on Romeo and Juliet. Whereas there's not really that many ways that you can define all of these technical terminology type of things. Do you see what I mean? I'm trying to explain this. It's so complex to explain, you guys. But that's what I was trying to explain to him. And another thing is that when you accuse someone of something, you have to provide evidence of that accusation. They were accusing me of something without even backing their accusation up or providing any evidence. Just like, oh, you've plagiarized this. Okay then, so where did I plagiarize it from? Prove this shit to me. You can't just accuse someone of doing something without even providing any evidence here. It was just crazy. And then here's me politely and patiently trying to work with him and ask him, like, what he wants me to do. But he just kept giving me answers that weren't really that helpful. And another thing is that, so you can see in his reply here, he's given a suggestion as to how I could write that sentence. And that's what he's done, is just basically change the order of the sentence that I wrote, which is kind of pointless because that's exactly what I wrote. At this point, I just really kind of lost my temper with him, you guys, and just wrote one long paragraph, still very polite, still very civilized, didn't insult him, even though I wanted to. I wanted to call this guy a prat, but I didn't, and I still remained very polite. And yeah, I just basically addressed, like, what the hell is going on here? And this is the message that I sent to him. And then the manager, Wendy, she replied to me with this long message, which I will zoom in for you. Otherwise, you can't possibly see this on screen, I'm sure. I've received a call from Paul. He's extremely upset. The message that you sent to Paul has caused offense, says she. This is just crazy shit, you guys. Absolutely crazy shit. Paul sounds like a really sensitive guy who probably sleeps with his teddy bear at night or something like that. Like, I'm sure most people would agree that there was nothing offensive in my message that I wrote to Wendy or wrote to Paul. I was quite straightforward and frank and direct and brief and assertive, but there was nothing in there that was anywhere near offensive. Right? At this point, I threatened to take legal action against them, you guys. I told the manager that I'm considering taking legal action to really, because at this point, they already cost me my university entry. My university entry was finished now. It was too late for this year. And here she is trying to threaten me and intimidate me and patronize me. And here she says that she's changed my assessor again from Paul to John. And she has also says, with regards to your question about the plagiarism report, do you need to change the stuff highlighted in blue? In short, yes, you do. Let me repeat that. In short, yes, you do, she says. Look at how patronizing that is. In short, yes, you do, says she. And look at this sentence, best for all concerned. The only person concerned here is me. I'm the one trying to get into university, and I'm the one who will miss out if I don't get in. What does she mean by all concerned? I am the only one who is concerned. Paul isn't concerned. He's clearly not concerned, because he knows that he's got nothing to lose in this situation. No one is making fun of you. We are all trying to support you. Just look at how treacherous and patronizing they are. Like, they're just trying to make me feel like I'm the one being irrational in all of this, and they're just being perfectly reasonable, and I'm the one who's just overreacting, and it's awful. They're just awful. I was really shocked by this, how corrupt they are. As this is an area you're struggling with, I could not believe the cheek of this woman. This was actually one of the easiest units that I attempted. I was doing really well on that unit. I was not struggling on that unit. And then, oh my days, did I write a long reply back. This is just a zoom in of the reply that I sent her, because it's just such a huge, long reply that I don't think I'll be able to show you guys all of it. But yeah, I just had to stand up for myself. That's basically it. I said, I can only offer Paul a box of tissues for his upset feelings, because she said he had his feelings extremely upset or something. And then Wendy changed my assessor to someone called John Spiller. And I had no problems with him. He's a really great guy. He just instantly marked my work. Very smooth, very quick, nothing wrong. And I even thanked him and it went quite well. Okay, so now I want to go back to look at something else, you guys, and that is feedback that I was given on the assignments. Now, this is feedback from James Oliver. You remember him? And here's him telling me you don't have the right focus. And like I've already said, they always say things like that. You don't have the right focus. You're missing the point. You've misunderstood the assignment. That's what they constantly tell you all the time. These very vague, unhelpful sentences. And then he gets quite aggressive in the rest of his thing. You haven't really taken on board my feedback. You decided against paying any attention. Just look at how rude and aggressive these assessors are. And yet they accuse you of being rude and aggressive. That's the irony here. Decided against paying any attention. Like, yeah, as if I just sat there and just went, you know what, I'm not going to pay any attention. Okay, so we're sort of coming to the end of this very long video. This is probably the longest video that I've ever made on my channel, you guys. But this, before I finish this, I wanted to show you some reviews that I found online. Written by other people who also tried Stonebridge out. They were also students of Stonebridge, and you can see this person has had a bad experience, and in many ways they've had similar experience to mine. It's such a long review, so it's hard fitting it into the screen, so I'll just zoom in for you guys. Then things turned sour. She replied saying that I was rude. You can see that this person has just had like a very similar experience to me. It's just, wow, so identical. In the end, I ate humble pie. That's kind of what I did in the end as well. So now we're going to talk about accountability, you guys. I promised you I would. Every time you challenge these people, they just take zero accountability. They just reply, like, so this is a reply to that person who wrote that review. And they've just kind of just blatantly denied everything. It just went blah, 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 blah. We're brilliant. We're just brilliant. That's their reply here. No accountability, no admitting that there's any mistake on their part at all. It's really disappointing. So here's another review, you guys. There's just so many bad reviews. Unprofessional conduct, blah, 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 blah. And this is another review. Feel free to kind of pause the screen and read these. And more bad reviews. And this one's even more interesting. Let me zoom in for you guys, the top one, so that you can read it. I think Stonebridge rely on people allowing themselves to be ground down. Aggressive responses. We need to act in force to close down this disgusting college. So some of these people, from reading these reviews, I can tell that they've had far worse experiences than me. Like, mine wasn't this bad. It was really bad, but not quite this bad. And whoa, here's another really long review. And this poor person seems to have suffered a lot, you guys. At the bottom it says, it's made my life a living hell. To be honest, they made my life a living hell as well. Because I can tell you the past year, the entire year from November, December 2017 to September this year, it's been really, really difficult for me, you guys, because my entire life has been revolving around this thing. And it was just a constant battle with them. And it was just, honestly, at times I just felt like quitting the course, but I couldn't quit the course because not only would my money be wasted, but I wouldn't be any closer to getting into university. And another thing is that I ended up missing out on my place at university this year purely because of Stonebridge's conduct since the time I started this course. Yeah, so now I have to reapply via UCAS to try and get in the next academic year. And I mean, you guys might listen to that and say, what's the big deal? Who cares? It's just another year, right? Wrong, because I'm already 22 years old and I'm not getting any younger when it comes to university and that sort of thing. So just sitting around for one more year when I did so well in this qualification, and me doing well was just nothing more than purely my own effort, you guys. That's what it was. My own effort. And another thing that really hurts is that my effort, my painstaking effort over the past 1 year has not been recognized by anyone. Like, it's not really been, no one's given me a pat on the back and said, well done. There's been no one around to really congratulate me. So it's like kind of a really disappointing feeling. Because even though I've won, I've ended up losing. If I'd ended up not completing the course, then I would have lost even worse. So it's like kind of a you win, you lose, and if you lose, you lose kind of situation that happened. But at the end of the day, I'm really proud of myself because I got 36 distinctions, 3 merits, and 6 passes out of it. And that's a really, really epic score. And it means a lot to me. Even if it doesn't mean anything to anyone else, it means a lot to me. Right? Hi, congratulations! You're all done! What happens now is quite complex. Apparently it's like rocket science. It's so complex that she has to summarize. But yeah, this final message, this came in like less than a month ago from the manager. Really made me angry. 3 exclamation marks after congratulations. Does she really think that I'm happy right now? Again, like I said, no accountability. Just acting like nothing's wrong. She's just acting like there's no fault on their part that I missed out on my place at university. I mean, if I'd finished in like August and she'd congratulated me then, I would have been really happy. But yeah, I mean, what can I say? That's it. So then they gave me this questionnaire thing to fill out after I completed the course to get my certificate. And I had to be very honest on the questionnaire about the experience. And I wanted to make this video because I felt like my voice was kind of silenced by them overall. I didn't receive any kind of a response back after I sent this questionnaire. So yeah, Stonebridge. Overall, it's been a very shaky experience with them. it's been a very negative experience with them. And like I said in the questionnaire, I didn't enjoy the experience, but at least good came out of it. And something really good came out of it. I would say that access is a good option if you missed out on your A-levels for whatever reason and you still want to get into university. It's a good option. But maybe don't go for Stonebridge. There's other companies out there that offer the same course. And it might be worth giving them a try instead. But I'm sure that each person's experience will be different, you guys. This was just my experience with Stonebridge.